it's an investment in our, an asset. But Trumbull County, all the water that MBSD can sell and produce, the more water they sell and produce, the cheaper their operational costs are, which could potentially save, all, whether it's Mineral Ridge, Bezetta, Champion, everybody who gets that water from MBSD, future water increases. So it is an investment in Lordstown, but it's an asset to all.
Have you exhausted all options with grants? I mean, a lot of what we do with our sanitary is go after a lot of these grants. Have you looked into what's out there as far as, state or federal assistance?
I had mentioned that
Sorry,
my fault. I had mentioned that we are requesting a portion
yeah,
of the funding for construction through the county's
Yeah.
ARPA fund. We did get an earmark for 2 projects, technically. It was this project and for the future 24-inch water line coming in from the city of Niles. So in some respects, this is kind of a regional project. We have not yet coordinated with Mahoning County to be able to push our pressure towards Jackson Township, but that's there for them if they need it. So
Are you currently buying all the water from MVSD, or is it coming through Warren, you're paying Warren for the water?
right now, this water, as Mr. Sarsky has stated, comes from Meander, MVSD.
So directly you're paying Niles or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. The village does purchase some water by way of the interconnect with Warren, mainly for the industries along State Route 45.
yeah.
Bob, you have any thoughts on this?
If you were to finance this, this would mean a higher cost to the user. I mean, obviously.
Yes, that's true. Any capital improvement cost borne by the village would have to be passed on unless we get.
Right, no, I understand.
It's more of a Scott or Gary question, engineering related.
Okay.
I'm Mike Sullivan, Vice President of EPA. And I thought that, our application went through the auditor's office.
It
It was
did.
coming here, 3 months ago?
It was about 3
It's
months.
here, excuse me, Martha Yoder, Trumbull County Auditor. Yes, I received the application when it came in. It was put on the Commissioner's Drive, so they would have access to it. So they have it. And then, because of when it came in, it was put on the maybe list, because it was not received before October, when they had the meeting where they reviewed all the applications. So it was received, they have it, and I actually noted it to them in a meeting, because I do a report at each, workshop. All right, so yes, it was received, it was passed on.
And we didn't say no, we put it on the maybe list because you gotta remember, we were inundated with a lot of asks that we had
Well,
to
yeah,
push through.
when I first talked to you, we talked about the Cal Young project, which was $1.8 million, and you said, no way.
That's a little much.
And then I said, well, part of that project is moving the substation. But it really impacts a lot of people, if Foxconn does what they say they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had about, before we got your application, we probably allocated about 34 million, which left us into our last 4 million. And then we had that meeting in October and asked everyone to get their applications in by December 15th. After that date, the, municipalities and townships we hadn't heard from, we had the auditor reach out to them and say, hey, you missed the deadline, but please get something in, and then that's when you guys got something in at that time. So we didn't say no to it, we reached out to you guys and said, hey, we're running out of money, if you want something, you gotta get it in here. So that's the point we're at now, is on the books right now, we got about 800,000 or 900,000 showing that potentially is what we have left. But we also have 25, 30, 40 maybe on the maybe list, so we have to readdress.
Over, like, as far as, I can't remember the number of requests, but we have over 12 million in requests.
But whatever.
So just to be clear, no matter what we give you, would be able to offset some of the costs for those
Correct.
businesses.
Right.
So,
Okay.
I mean, it would be, we would still wanna, contribute and help in that way. It's just a matter of how much we can allocate, you know what I mean?
If we have to adjust the application again,
Okay.
does that have to be a written change?
Well, and
or-
if you guys are just, if they're not changing I'm sorry, Martha Yoder, Trumbull County Auditor, if they're not changing the scope of it, if it's just money to contribute, I don't think that they would need to do
I
that.
don't think so either.
But we can, when you guys decide to send it on or to put it on the yes list, you can put it on the yes list with a certain amount, and I can make sure that, Attorney Rogers knows that you're just wanting to fund this part of it. We've had several
Yeah.
other ones like that where she approved it for eligibility, but we adjusted the amount. It's just when we have something where it changes the scope of the project in
Yep.
some way, we're just changing our contribution to the project.
And we definitely recognize the development that's happening in Lordstown. That's the center of Trumbull County. We wanna be, a part of that and assist, so, but we, as Commissioner Malloy said, we're down to the bare bones here and we still have a lot of applications out there, so I think that we can contribute and assist, but to fit the whole cost, this time it probably wouldn't be feasible.
And I agree 100%. We do realize, you know, Lordstown is kind of our front door of the county. That's where, you know, we rely on Lordstown and your citizens welcoming in industry and welcoming in commerce for the rest of the county, is that's where the hot, spot is. And that's where we're gonna benefit the most, is by what happens in your backyard. So we understand that, we recognize that. So I don't wanna dissuade you in any, I'm just being upfront and honest with you, being that this is the first time we've met, that, although if this would've been a project that came along in the first year, when they had, you know, 25 million, before they spent that, this probably would've been a higher priority when we had the money. Now that we don't, we have to look and say, you know, how do we show a little love to all these worthy causes that are out there without discriminating against one municipality or another? We wanna make sure everybody gets a piece of the pie. You haven't got one yet, so you will. But it's how big that piece is now it's unfortunately, the pie keeps shrinking and shrinking as time goes on.
But we wanna be willing partners and assist in that.
Absolutely.
We recognize that development is happening there. Sound good? Thank you very much.
Do you have a timeline on this?
George, we would like to get this project constructed.
Thank you all for.
Thank you very much
Thank you
for your
for coming.
time and consideration.
Just so many pressing needs out there.
Yeah, and that's absolutely a worthy project. It's
Yeah,
water, it's related, and that, we know something like that will probably pass, or should
Sure.
pass
Oh, yeah.
through the attorney, but, again, it comes down to, I wish they would've got it in earlier, honestly.
Me too.
If they've been working on it for 2 or 3 years.
And we just got it 3 months.
And this is something too, we need, and I say we, I mean us also, we're equally guilty. We need to increase our relationship with Lordstown. Because
Yeah.
right now, I don't have a real good relationship with anybody in Lordstown, 1 or 2 people. I don't know if you do, but Lordstown seems to be, with so much happening there,
Yeah.
there just seems to be a disconnect between county government and Lordstown. And we need somehow to, build a stronger bridge to that, because they are very crucial to our economy. So if anyone from Lordstown Council, the mayor, anyone there, I've never even met the mayor yet, I know one
Haven't yet.
council member, you know, this is something where, as economically important as they are, we need to build, better that relationship, or we need to strengthen it or familiarize ourselves with it a little better, so things like this are on our radar a lot earlier than they have been. So I invite that, if the mayor or anyone's listening, let's get together for lunch and let's meet. Okay, anybody else, or are we good to go to start? Okay, we'll get through this quickly. Dispense with the reading of the minutes, approve the bills. Number 3, adopt the resolution approving the attached list labeled as then and now. Purchase orders to the various vendors as then and now purchase orders in compliance with ORC 570441.
Can I just Martha, you're Trumbull County Auditor. I just wanna say something about this because it just happens to come up on this, so I wanna note it.
Sure.
One of the issues that, Shara mentioned with Commissioner Frenchco and her going and registering without, authorization from the board for that fly-in, that I think kinda got lost a little bit in there, is that not only would she have needed authorization from the board to do that, she need a purchase order. We've been preaching that over and over and over again, and we need, if, you know, we really are serious about compliance, we need to, especially those of us who are public officials, need to demonstrate that compliance.
Agreed.
The then and now, we wanna get that to a point where it's almost non-existent. That makes us compliant, but it's really should be reserved for emergencies, for things like something happening over a weekend with Bill Hart, and he's gotta get it fixed, and he's gotta go ahead and get that invoice without a purchase order, but the order of things is purchase order first, then an invoice. We've been preaching that over and over again to the whole county and in these meetings, and I think the public officials need to set a good example about that.
Well said. And that is something I did read yesterday, that you've been stressing, send out these then and nows. Let's get to a point where they're not relevant or they're not an issue.
Right, and we know that they're gonna happen, that's why that part is in the statute that allows us to do it. We know emergencies happen, but it shouldn't be the normal course of business.
Correct.
And it shouldn't be the normal course of business for us to have to go back and make things compliant.
Okay, now on to transfer monies.
All right,
Sanitary engineer, the first two.
yes.
Bob Marano, sanitary engineers. The first two, it's a transfer from 601 to Fund 306 and 602 to Fund 306. This is for our water and sewer OWDA first half debt payment.
They're both there. So, the next one is commissioners. This is the, county half of the WRTA grant, and it was approved by the commissioners on 1/31/24. Sorry, it's Martha Yoder, Trumbull County Auditor. I'll move to number 5, which is, additional appropriations. This is for the WRTA grant approved by the commissioners on 1/31/24. The reason that it is, that's twice what is in the, transfer of monies for this event thing, it's $296, is it includes also the Warren share. So, that's why that's like that. And then, to approve the transfer of appropriations,
Number 6.
yes, number 6 is, Board of Elections is, they are doing the Academy of Continuing Legal Education and mileage. There's a bunch of Board of Health there, let me go through them. $10,000 is for building maintenance, $32,000 is to clean up over budget accounts, $31,637 is a vehicle purchase, clean up the budget accounts again on the $1,500, and, the grant is, the $1,000. Court of Appeals is liability, that $100 liability insurance increase. Planning Commission, $20.16 for freight on a new phone. Prosecutor's office is $1,000 additional office supplies. Sanitary engineer, I'm gonna let him handle.
That is $750,000 for our OWDA debt payment for our Brookfield wastewater treatment plant.
And then the final one, the sheriff's office for 1341 is needed for grant payroll accounts.
Okay, number 7, Trumbull County engineer special hauling permit for overweight equipment, Transport National LLC. Number 8, special hauling permit for Gero Transportation, PI&I Motor Express. Number 9, concur with Trumbull County engineer grant right-of-way permits for Windstream Western Reserve, Connect Holdings 2, and Kimberly Deller. Number 10, special hauling permit Transport National. Number 11, concur with the engineer to close Trumbull Avenue in Liberty Township between Atlanta and State 193 for culvert replacement. And they'll be closed Monday, June 3rd through Friday, June 14th. So that's something to make a note of. Number 12 is, ARPA funds for Gustavus Township, and that is for, I think the playground,
Yes.
and the amount of $135,999. And that is, I will call, Mr. Crosby, see if he wants to be here for the check presentation. Number 13 goes along with that for the, $135,999. That's the only ARPA for this week, is that one?
Correct, that's
Okay.
all we have, and with that, we're caught up on all that she's approved. So she's still, and we'll talk later, but she still has some sitting on her desk,
Yep.
that we're waiting on.
Okay. Number 14, rescind the journal from March 27th to change the, authorizing the retention of the law firm to represent the Board of Commissioners. The proposed legal agreement was not executed, so we had an agreement with these people to represent us in the, PFAS, the PFAS, and drinking water. And then number 15 is authorize the retention of a different law firm, Stagg Louisa, to represent us in that same lawsuit. So we hired one, they didn't come through with it and execute the agreement that we thought we were gonna have with them, with that group, those different groups, and now we're going with a different one, correct? Bob, best to your knowledge?
Yeah, Bill Danto from the prosecutor's office. I've talked a little bit to some representatives of sanitary engineer's office, and yeah, it's my understanding that the main driver of this is that, these law firms are representing some other local entities, and the ultimate conclusion at sanitary would be that it might be better to have an independent firm who also is experienced in this area, but doesn't have any client ties to any of our other local water suppliers, water systems. That way, we have truly independent counsel that if there's anything they need to work out with other districts and other law firms that are representing other water suppliers in other districts, they can do so, and we shouldn't have to worry about any potential conflicts or anything like that with this firm. My understanding is they're also experienced in this area, that they have, already a kind of a good idea of what's going on in this litigation, and they'd like to help us move forward before the deadline.
Did you know where this, Stagg Louisa is from? The other ones up top showed at least what city or what state they're from.
You know what, I don't recall. I know that the contract and the stuff had come through, but I don't recall where they were located.
Okay. Can we get that for tomorrow, so we at least know what city and state they're from?
Sure.
Any on that, Commissioner?
No, I don't think so.
And this is a national lawsuit. This is something municipalities all across the country are fighting, and that's the stuff that
Correct,
they,
it's not just local, yeah.
again, it's the stuff they put on tents and waterproofing things that stay in the water system that, is affecting drinking water everywhere because you can't remove it, or extremely hard to remove. Okay, number 16, authorize Denny Malloy, President, Board of Trumbull County Commissioners, to execute on behalf of Trumbull County Subgrant Award Agreement, subgrant for the TAG Law Enforcement Task Force. The grant's in the period July 1 to June 30. Total funding for the Drug Law Enforcement Fund Grant to the Ohio Office of Criminal Justice Services in the amount of $120,890. The Office of Criminal Justice will fund 75%, and the local cash match required is 25%, or $30,224. The local match will be matched by using payroll funding to a TAG employee. This action for the recommendation, Captain Mike Nucci. If we don't receive funding from the grant, the Board of Commissioners has no obligation to fund the program. Nucci?
This is standard procedure, when you get a grant award, President of the Board of Commissioners, yourself, signs it, Sheriff Monroe signs it, we send it back to them, and they'll award the funding.
So our match on this is the employee that we put towards the group.
Correct. An employee from our payroll, so we're paying it anyway.
Very good. 17, approve a personnel action for the transfer of Mr. Anthony Krakowski from the position of deputy dog warden, pay range 4, to the position of clerical specialist, pay range 5, within Trumbull County Dog Kennel. This was posted, with 3 internal union bids, and 2 applicants were interviewed, same questions, and Mr. Kokrosky got it.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, we had Michelle Goss, Trumbull County Dog Warden. We had, 3 internal, union bids. Myself and HR, we went with the, senior most qualified, person for the job, and that happened to be my deputy in, at our facility already. So he will make that transfer if approved.
Okay. Clerical specialist, what's that position?
The secretary, clerical specialist, yeah.
So he's coming out of the field basically and
He's
going to the
coming out
office
of the
job.
field and going to the office job, correct.
Gotcha. Okay, number 18 is amend items number 23 and 24, as approved on May 22nd, last week, to accept and award the proposal bid for the Marks Tower. It's necessary to correct the fund number for both vendors from, one fund number to the proper one, and that's for Motorola Solutions and Thermal Bond Buildings. That's just, some housekeeping, right? And believe it or not, that covers everything for the agenda tomorrow. You sure can, sir. Come on up and approach, and the microphone can pick you up here if you're up close enough.
Okay, I'm Dennis Butch, trustee in Braceville Township. And I think last week we approved the slippage on Benedict Levis, which is an emergency. So I did bring some pictures to show what's really happening on the road. Definitely, it's getting worse. Seems to be every day, every few days, it's slipping more into the,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and it's right near Swift Park. And I think Gary might have the costs, or,
Yeah, I brought, Gary Schaefer, Trumbull County Engineer's Office, I brought the cost from, Jet Excavating, his original proposal, and then our engineer's estimate that was provided to OPWC for the grant, which they received 90% of that amount.
and we're funding the rest, 10%. PWC is funding the 90%.
So we just had to declare the emergency last
Right.
week, and that opened up for you to be able to.
Right.
But how about Jet Excavating? Do we have to put that on?
Yeah, I brought resolutions that
Okay.
you, approved, Commissioner, back in 2019
Okay,
with the Kinsman Road.
yes.
The way that was washed out. So I brought the 3 relative, resolutions from them. You've already done the one, I believe, the only one now, that should have covered the first 2, declaring the emergency. But you entered into an agreement with Kinsman at that point, and you also entered into an agreement with Jet Excavating.
Okay,
I brought those 3 resolutions.
appreciate
Yeah.
that. So those will need to be on our agenda.
Can we do that, yeah, can we do that tomorrow, being so light? You have time for that?
And for what it's worth too, I appreciate that, and Engineer Smith and I talked this morning, he did confirm that
OPWC.
CWC is going to be direct pay to the contractor, so just as we thought last week. There is a very brief, just kind of mutual aid contract that we did with Kinsman, I agree would be the same in this case. I have a draft of that ready to go, except for I needed the dollar amounts and things like that to fill in. So I think with this information now, we can have that all ready to go for you guys also. It's just a agreement that basically outlines that the money's going to come from this source, go to this contractor in this dollar amount, and that the commissioners are involved because of the emergency nature. Very straightforward.
Okay, thanks, Joe, no, that's perfect. And then OPWC did confirm that it doesn't matter who enters into the contract.
Right.
With the contractor. If you two, if the commissioners have a contract with the township, then the contract could be entered into between the contractor and the town.
Okay, perfect.
The only other thing, back in February, we requested a meeting with the commissioners, on this, blueprint for prosperity. We sent you a letter, and we've never got a response, and we're kinda, don't know where it went.
When was that sent?
February,
February 20th. On behalf of Braceville Township trustees, request for town hall meeting on Blueprint Phase 2 project.
Oh, okay. I don't recall seeing
I
that.
don't know if you didn't, it got misplaced in the mail or what.
Okay.
So you've got a copy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll act on this.
Yeah, Gary's not here, he's on vacation, but when Gary comes back, we will definitely give him that. Hopefully we can accommodate.
Yes. Okay. Who's next?
Well, Commissioner, I got you an answer. That law firm is out of New Orleans, Louisiana.
Okay.
And I gave Lisa the address and she'll put it on for tomorrow. And we did have one issue with our truck when it caught on fire. The insurance settlement, they gave us about $50,000. The salvage truck, they put out for bid, and one company offered us $2,000 for the salvage value of the truck. Typically, we put something on Gov Deals once, twice, and then if no one uses it, we would send it to the junkyard. I guess through Corsa, them finding this, they sent it out to multiple companies, only one person came back. Is that acceptable? And Bill, I don't know if you have an opinion that Corsa did all the research and found a buyer for us, or do I have to do it as well?
I would say that probably depends on how our contract with Corsa works. You know, for example, if they pay us the $50,000 insured value, in some cases, that means that really our old truck becomes theirs to dispose of, you know, however they want to, by virtue of their payment. Now, if the contract is written differently where they just pay us, but we retain it, then it would still be a county asset. I would say maybe we should go through the Gov Deals process and work through Corsa. But I think, like I said, it really depends on how their insurance procedure works there. Because in some cases, you know, there are people that when your car is totaled, for example, you could buy it back from the insurance company for a certain price, but it really is kind of theirs once they issue that payment.
And I think the way it's written is the truck remains at Mosquito Creek wastewater plant. So they're basically telling us if we want to sell it to
Okay.
this person, we contact them.
Well, we can reach out to Corsa, or you guys can reach out to Corsa, out there, and basically that's what we need to find out, is this, and we can look at their agreement if we need to also, but is it their truck at this point that they're just pointing the buyer to, saying, here's where it's located, go pick it up there, or are they viewing it still as our truck?
Okay.
So, Bill, I have a quick question, on agenda item 14. Because we purchase water from Warren and MVSD and we don't, I guess I'm a little confused as to how we fit into the class action lawsuit. Is it because of the water going through our lines? Or
That's
with the PFAS in there? Because
That's-
we're not actually,
correct. As I understand it, we aren't really entering this as a water vendor,
right,
but we are kind of a pass-through. You know, as you know, we, like you said, we buy water from various sources, pump it through our lines to end users, and we are, I think that's still yet to be known, really what role we have in
Okay.
it. But what this does is it allows us to get the lawyers who are experienced in this to look at it and say, is there something here? Ultimately, you know, could they come back and say, you know, really this is more for water suppliers than
Right.
transmitters? They could. The bottom line, though, is because this is a contingency fee agreement, we only pay the law firm if there is a recovery, so there really isn't any risk to them analyzing it and doing all that kind of work for us on that end. And if there is something that we can recover for the county, for the people, great.
Right.
If there isn't, and it turns out that way, then there'd be no fee.
they set a precedent too, if they do rule in our favor, that other transmitters would get on board with this as well.
That's a
because
possibility.
if they find that PFAS in the lines, or, you know, if that's absolutely present there,
Sure.
maybe that would, yeah, it won't hurt to try it, I guess.
Right, and that's the theory. I think there's some deadlines coming up in that litigation, so they wanna sort of jump in and make sure we get at least a place in line.
Gotcha,
And if it doesn't turn out, it doesn't turn out, but if it does, then we're protected.
okay.
Okay, Bill, you have something else there for us?
I do. I had, discussed a few weeks ago with you guys about some projects that were sort of unresolved from our budget request in November. Mainly our conference room renovation and our case management software. One of the questions that Commissioner Malloy had asked is there anything that, you know, we could help come up with as a way to help pay for things? I worked with Mr. Watkins on that, and, I have a letter here for you guys that I'll give to you, but, the bottom line is, yeah, we are willing to contribute. We have looked at sort of kind of what our independent funding sources are, and what we're willing to do is we're willing to put in $20,000 toward the combined project, if you guys are willing to contribute the rest. And that is coming from, I know you had mentioned, is there a way we can sort of get, you know, maybe our criminal defendants to help fund this? And the answer is yes. We've proposed using what we call the law enforcement trust account, and that is essentially forfeiture money that comes from criminal cases where there was wrongdoing and money was seized from a wrongdoer, and that gets distributed out to the law enforcement agencies that handled that case. And we've got some money available there that we are willing to, you know, put toward this project if you guys are, you know, willing to help us out with it also, and, you know, move those things down the road. So that's basically what I was just confirming today, is that we do have some money available. We're willing to do that and, you know, kind of bring it back to you guys and asking, you know, where we can go from here.
I don't have a problem with it. I think
I like-
modernize the office, and that's
Right, and you
probably
did
something
exactly
that-
what we asked to do. If you wanna meet us halfway, I'm totally on board with meeting with the other half on this.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Then what, if there's no objection from you guys, what I'll do is maybe work with the auditor's office and, you know, maybe sort out where some of the funding sources and fund numbers could be that could support it. We'll also, you know, kind of figure out what we need to do to get our funds transferred into the appropriate expenditure, and then, you know, coming up here in the future, you know, maybe we'll have something officially on the agenda to discuss.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Very good.
Didn't even need me.
Commissioners, Bill Hart, Trumbull County
Yes.
Maintenance. Requesting permission to, fulfill the rest of my remaining open vacancies in the county. I have a groundskeeper I would like to post. I have a maintenance person I would like to post. And I have an HVAC position I would like to post. I can bring the department back up to speed and be normal. We're not short any bodies anymore, so.
Of course, yes.
Definitely. Are we gonna have a maintenance person on afternoon shifts?
Not at this moment. That's something, I mean, that's the discretion of management. We can have the right to hire, fire, rearrange schedules, repost, you know, so, that's later in the future.
It's been brought up to me, just last week again, that's kinda needed for painting, things like that, so we don't have to incur overtime situations on Saturdays or whatever to bring people in to paint when there's employees in the building. We can do a lot of that stuff in the evenings, and if maintenance were to adjust, or you're able to adjust it that way, that'll save us on that dollar. Okay, so you don't have any positions posted right now?
No,
So these would be 3 postings, 3 separate jobs?
yes, I'm in the midst of trying to fill the 2 custodians jobs that are open. We have an interview on Friday with Rebecca at HR, and I have to go through the list to get a couple more, since the other person that we were gonna interview declined, so back to the scratch.
So we did have 2 custodian positions that we're still waiting to
Yes.
fill?
That were posted.
How long has the HVAC position been empty?
I had two maintenance jobs open,
Yeah.
which I want to convert one of the maintenance to an HVAC tech. So
Okay.
there's 4 HVAC techs, so they can work in pairs, so nobody has to go out by themselves at a location. Just like maintenance, you know, we have
Sure.
2 that are off still, but we have 3 in day turn. Hopefully, when everybody comes back, we'll have adequate bodies to start mandating these buildings a little bit better.
Okay.
Perfect, great. Were we able to get anything done about the tree at the family court?
I mentioned it to Doug this morning. He was off last couple of days, so I mentioned it.
Was it cut last week?
That was one of the trees that the judge wanted cut down you know, one of the projects that I had started.
He said if he just cut the limb, he's happy with it. That's when I met with him,
That's
and,
what I told, my leader to do, so I don't know if they've done it with the weather now being sucky, so I don't know if they've done it yet or not.
okay. Please try to follow up on that, 'cause I
Yes,
told
sir.
the judge it would be done by last week, and
Yes.
it wasn't, so.
Is there anything else?
Everybody else have anything? Beth, do you have anything for us?
What?
Can you believe that?
Well, let's talk about the hydrilla thing real quick. 'Cause I saw some correspondences back and forth you had yesterday.
Right.
As far as the application, we can't release our county money apparently until you're still waiting for
Two
a
letters.
letter from the Corps of Engineers and a letter from Warren,
We
which we have not got.
we got the letter from ODNR that kind of encompassed everything, but we still need City of Warren, which Nick Coggins is working on. I'm working with Army Corps engineers. Last week or 2 weeks ago, he said that they were in the process of finalizing that. I did follow up last week as well as this week with them to get that in the federal government. You know, if we can get it, that we get it in 2 months as opposed to 6 to 9 months, which is what, you know, we're expecting, but we're pushing through on that. And then,
But they need to start the treatment by June 15th.
the treatment needs to be, it actually should be started like now.
Okay.
But
And it's something for the public too. 'Cause I get a complaint this week, somebody was fishing at the cemetery and they said, oh, you guys all killed off all the weeds at the cemetery. The weeds, people were out there throwing tablets and pellets in there, killing all the weeds. And so that's not a drill, we did not initiate that yet.
No
So-
hydrilla mitigation has happened in
Right, so that's a,
to our knowledge anyway, I don't think that, ODNR or, the Cleveland Metro Parks, who's responsible for that invasive species, like the knowledge of that.
yeah, and that's what I told him, I said, the guy that told you they're doing that, he said, oh, someone told me they were out there throwing these pellets in to kill the weeds. It's probably the same guy who saw the state dropping snakes out of water balloons out of airplanes that killed the turkeys. And the same guy whose brother-in-law saw a truck back up and released a bunch of coyotes to
Right, and meanwhile, I think
kill all
on
the
some of
deer,
the
so.
other Facebook pages, some of the tournaments that are posting are saying they're catching record bass in the last few weeks. So, I think, you know, that's where we are with that.
So if you're a bass fisherman and you hear this, no weed eradication has begun yet, that has anything to do with the county commissioners, and probably none on Lake period, so stop that rumor.
And then we're also organizing, we're also waiting on Army Corps of Engineers, which you guys will receive invitations to. Tentatively Friday, August 2nd, we are doing like a stakeholder elected official morning at Mosquito Lake. One of the things I think we've discovered over the last however many months we've been working on this is there's just not as much knowledge about what happens at Mosquito Lake and, you know, all the cool things we have to see and do. What we wanna do is start with a dam tour, because a lot of people haven't been in on dam either. So we're working on plans for that.
Okay. You have something, Lisa?
I do. I just wanted to let everybody know that, the public hearing's been set for the Hubbard City Number 5 Bridge. And that's gonna take place, Wednesday, June 12th at 10 a.m. prior to the commissioners' regular meeting. Also, I would like to have permission to advertise for another clerk's position, journal clerk.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've been shorthanded for quite some time.
And Chrissy's been working really, really hard, she's done an
Yeah.
excellent job back there, but we need to give her some help,
Yes,
because she's been carrying a load for a while.
yes,
So definitely 100%, let's do that.
thank you.
Any more progress on the fair and or anything there?
That's why I have Dawn in here.
Okay.
We've been trying since the last meeting, to get together and talk, there hasn't been a whole lot of time for it. Did we make a decision on whether we're moving across the way? Under
Well,
the
that
grandstand,
depends
or-
on, well, we have our slot.
Yeah, we
That we
do.
have the little room. If we get enough interest and we're able to get help from tourism and some of the other ones to decorate that area across the way,
Yeah,
that's when I'll call over to the fair board and say, hey, we do have enough interest to fill that little cove there. But we need to get a buy-in from all the different department heads that they can provide something of substance so people can see. We wanna make sure we don't get that space and then we just have one poster, you know, we wanna make sure
Right,
there's,
it's full.
it's full.
It,
And especially, I didn't bring it, but, this past weekend I came across just at a little store in the middle of nowhere in, north central Ohio, a postcard sitting at a store, and it was a really cool looking postcard, had a bunch of cops on it, and on the back it was a recruitment for Akron Police Department. And they're putting them out at just retail stores all over, marketing that you need to come work for Akron, we give you a sign-on bonus, here's the benefits you get, here's the pay that we do, we'll beat your pay where you're at. And it's basically a recruitment tool to, one, recruit people to Akron PD, but two, steal all the best cops from everywhere else to come to Akron because their deal's better. And I saw that and I thought, man, that is a catchy marketing tool. It looked, I'll bring it in the next meeting, but it was something I thought for our, corrections officers, for our 911, for some of the positions that we have,
Yeah.
it was really eye-catching. It was something I'd like to see something like that at the fair, even a poster or something that where we can actually market for these people to try to flush out people that might be interested in something like that. But it was a catchy ad. So I'll bring that to the next meeting.
Also, there's been a few minor things that have been purchased for the booth, and I was wondering if I could get reimbursed for those items.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Yeah,
If
no
it's booth
problem.
related there, that's,
I mean, it's
Yeah.
not nickel-dime stuff, it's
Yeah.
things that we use every year. and-
sure.
Okay,
And then check the inventory, what we have on, the fans, tourism guides, everything else, to make sure that we're being properly outfitted for that too.
And we talked to Bill, we were gonna go out, we have another appointment at Mesco later. We were gonna go out to the fair and just walk that space. Because we're talking, and I talked to Lisa about maybe doing a bigger banner that can be hung as opposed to a pop-up. So we'll do that, we'll certainly give and provide, visitors guide. So we've got those two things.
We wanted to do it really nice this year too for the kids, so Lisa and I talked about it, and we wanted to do like a little duck pond. I have like those white, buckets with the handles on it, you put cooler stuff in, or drinks in. We wanted to fill it up with water, and then Lisa got patriotic ducks that light up, and then they can get a prize, and we were thinking about the prizes we wrote down from Amazon, we looked up, like kids love face tattoos, hand tattoos, there's like 300 of them for $10, they glow in the dark.
just little,
Things,
you know.
little bubbles, red, white, and blue,
Yeah.
and little snap bracelets, red, white, and blue, nothing that anybody can choke on. And then maybe just a big bulk candy, like we always do, but it would be a lot better than we've had in the past.
Get with John Hinkey also, 'cause his EMA tent is like prime real estate right outside the grandstand.
Mhm.
Last year, they were giving away COVID tests, things like that, and a lot of times, they were just sitting in there with not much traffic. And that's something, if we can combine with him somehow, where we can use that space to refer people to come inside, to get out of the weather or whatever, to come inside and send the kids inside to see this. County real estate anyway that he's using, we could cross-market each other that we're inside and outside by utilizing, he has a big, big tent there with plenty of room. And, Commissioner, the issue we need to talk about, that came up this week, the Fairgrounds is sold out on their camping already,
Yes.
and they didn't even get to the horse people yet that normally camp, and they said they're gonna have a lot of unhappy 4-H'ers and families. Barry, president of Fair Board out there, has found some space out there that he could make into expanded camping areas, but he needs permission from us to be able to get First Energy out there to put power to the poles so that people can have more power there. And he wants to know, it's great that they're sold out that way, but it's even better that there's still more people that wanna camp and utilize that fair for the whole week in that atmosphere. So, Commissioner, I'd like the permission to be able to talk to Barry, work with him, find out exactly what he needs. Bill, if you can get with him and see what we can do to help him expand that camping area. If it's gonna require more funds or things like that, we could bring it back to the meeting next week, but the big thing is, he's doing a great job, and the fair board's doing a fantastic job with the fair. We put a lot of money into that fair over the last year, and a lot more money right now that's going into it, the 4-H building and the bathrooms, up and coming. And the parking lots were all fixed last year, and we're really making progress. They just fixed the telephone poles, utility poles. If they need it, we need to support them and let them keep dreaming big on that, and then funding what they need to fund. Then we eventually get that to be a shining star at Trumbull County in a 365 facility. So, I'll get with Barry on that and work with you, Bill. Let's maybe take a trip out there and see what he needs.
I'm gonna go out to the fair too, and if Beth's going out there, we'll look at the space together in the grandstand and see. 'Cause I don't know what needs torn down as far as structural goes under the stands for that empty space across the way,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, look at that, and then, get with Barry and look at the camping area thing and see if there's anything our maintenance can do to help him
Yes.
facilitate. He thinks he can add up to another, I think it was 50 spots or something if he got the okay, so.
Commissioner, also, last Friday, I guess I should mention this, Valley Partners, held their recognition breakfast, for, all the collaboration they've done over the years. And the commissioners were, highlighted there. We received an award. Essentially, when COVID hit, you know, a lot of people were scrambling as to what we could do for the local economy, how we could assist local businesses to stay open. We came up with the Cares for Trumbull program, which allocated, grants and a little bit of, loans to, existing businesses. We were able to help over 320 businesses in Trumbull County and spent $3 million in total of CARES Act and, ARPA monies to assist small businesses with all the challenges they had during COVID. A lot of them were close to shuttering, a lot of them, you know, were hanging on by a string. So, we were one of the first counties in the state to implement that program, and it's since been duplicated throughout the state, but, and Mahoning County did it as well after we did, but we did a lot of good with that CARES Act and ARPA money. And, the recognition is humbling. We got, as I said, we were featured at the breakfast, and, just another way that we assisted, during that uncertain time of COVID, that nobody knew what was gonna happen, you know, so, we were helping, small businesses stay open, and, something we're very proud of, so.
And on that same note, that same day, Thursday, you and I both attended
Yes.
United Way's annual, luncheon. And we were able to see, we were basically highlighted through the whole event with the new programs they're able to initiate with the ARPA funds that we gave.
Absolutely.
That's United Way. Actually, also, you and I were both given an award for voting yes on the ARPA funds, and we were given the Good Guys Award. We got the plaque and everything that says that, and when I accepted it, I said, it's nice to be called a good guy instead of a good old boy. So with that said,
That's true.
the crowd applauded that, and, so Mauro and I are now to be known as the good guys. We've got the plaque to prove it, so.
Great.
That's, we appreciate that, and then working with United Way, it was really neat to see all the community involvement that was there, and how, appreciative they were of our funding and how they're putting it right to work with the programs. And I mean, they didn't just take our money and put it in the fund, they took our money and said, we're doing this program, this one, and here's what you did with your money, and here's your money at work. And it was a really honorable thing to be able to be a part of that, to be able to pass through the money through us into a program like that, so.
Agreed.
Thursday was a good day for Trumbull County.
Yes, it
We got
was.
recognized, for all the efforts of all the employees and staff that we have here. It was a good day. Okay, so. Jeff, do you have anything back there, or are you just observing?
We sent you an email this morning, I don't know if you got a chance to look at it, for ARPA. We put in for the capital budget and got denied. We tried to do a couple other things.
For buying a historical society again?
So
Okay.
we submitted another one to see if we could possibly get it. There's some windows and siding. We're working with, Bill, Fairgrounds, theaters there. We're trying to get it done. It's not gonna be there, ready to be open this year. Too much to do with it. It's coming along pretty good, so. Just didn't know if you had any questions for the ARPA, if you got to look at it yet.
I did look at it, and the only thing I'd say is the same thing we had to say earlier, you know, we're getting at the end of the change,
Right.
and until we address the maybes and stuff, you know, we really can't give you an answer on that. You know, and that, just being fair to everybody, but we will take it, you know, and,
Because I think Mark
under
mentioned
consideration.
the cemetery one that you guys approved, but didn't get approved by legal.
Correct.
I think it was put on hold.
That's within the, we did not, Martha, you're a Trumbull County auditor, we did not freeze those funds. We've frozen some for like townships because they did wanna make sure that townships got a certain amount. Just so that, both commissioners understand, I did receive that additional $90,000 request for the copper penny. It's on your drive, so you can look at it. It's also, on the maybe list. So that's where it is right now. The letter that they sent to you this morning, or either last night or this morning, is also attached to this, and I will also scan that and put that in to the drive, so everything will be together.
So thank you for submitting that, it is the only thing we're gonna be able to address very soon.
I just didn't.
By the end of the year, we'll have it all addressed, but it's nothing that's gonna come up in the next month or so, yeah,
That's fine.
just to give you a heads up on that. Okay, they're working on the elevator, one's gonna be down until it's fixed, and then they're gonna go to the other one.
Yes, sir, they have a crane coming on the 4th, so we have to have this back parking lot emptied. When the time comes for the actual, that one motor that's up there to come off, we'll make sure this back corner's empty just in case. It's not that big, but, you know, it's big enough that it would make a boom.
And you were off last week too, Gasser Chair called me back again and said,
To
please,
come up.
you got them,
They should be here, well, again, you know.
in the rain?
whether- Yeah, well, it's bagging them. They left this morning, so hopefully they're back.
Okay, good.
in the rain, so, yeah,
And
yeah,
then-
that's fine.
You gotta get on the tables and get that so we can approve that and finish that off.
Yeah. One more note, quick, I talked to Jeff about it. I reached out to Lowe's Corporation, actual store. They say if I submit some letter with the commissioner's header on it, they could donate supply goods. So I talked to Jeff about possibly he needs some, you know, 3 or 1/4 inch luan for the inside of his theater. But I was also gonna reach out to Barry to see what he would need in paint. If he needs 50 gallons, 100 gallons of paint, if I submit this letter under the commissioner's letterhead,
Yeah.
if they could donate and put their name, paint donated by this building, whatever building.
That's great.
But I would just need to get something from Barry as well. What he needs would be at the fair,
Okay.
for painting wise, if he needs paint. And I could submit, and then even reach out to Home Depot, if we could do Home Depot to donate some stuff, building supplies or supplies of any sorts.
Is Fair Board nonprofit?
Sure.
I mean, they're an
They're an
agricultural
agricultural.
society under the law, but I don't know if they registered as a nonprofit or not.
I think most of them are.
I would think they are.
Good question.
I know our village is not, it was before, but they never kept it up.
Yeah. Look at, I may have some thing too, they do things with nonprofits.
Yeah, they could
So-
donate it, that's why I said, I just need a letter, what they would need, supplies, and then with the commissioner's permission to submit a letter in behalf, and of course proofread before it goes
Let's
anywhere.
do that.
And then, you know, maybe
Yeah.
they'll just say, here it is, come get it.
And while Michelle's here, dog pound update,
Everything's going good?
new dog pound.
Oh, the new dog pound, yeah. Let me get this. I actually have, I brought a sketch for you guys to look at. You don't want to
You're more
look at it
welcome.
now, but,
There's a second page to that.
Thank you.
here's, some new sketches, for you to look at. Still tweaking everything. We're at about 6,500 square feet for the new dog kennel. That, if everybody isn't aware, it's gonna be in front of the Animal Welfare League building. We met, with the board president of AWL yesterday. So things are moving forward. There's some more, shared space, shared easements, that we talked about, that are needed. We're kind of getting curbage, grass area onto their parking lot and stuff, but, they're accepting of that, and, everything's going good with it. We're moving along. Hopefully, hopefully, we will still break some type of ground in late fall, probably not start, you know, building until first of the year. Yeah, so it's coming. I also, wanted to ask about, back to the fairgrounds and the booths and stuff, if I could get like a poster up for the dog kennel,
Yeah.
brochures,
That's a
things
good
like
idea.
that.
We
Um,
never do that.
We never
That's
do
great
that.
you
I would
brought
like
that
to
up.
do that. I'd also
That's
like,
exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would
Get
be
all the
great.
department heads and
That would be a draw.
utilize
yeah,
that.
I'd also like to bring, an adoptable dog there.
Yeah,
Get a
that
vest,
would be
get a
great.
vest on it. I know animal charities or Angels for Animals had, put a donation vest on their dog and raised a lot of money.
Oh,
They walked it around. You know, they get adopted, you raise funds, so I'd like to do
That's
that
great.
this
That's great,
year,
Michelle.
if we can.
Yeah,
Great idea.
absolutely.
And yay to the extra camper spots. I am one of those horse people. And a lot of us have already rented campers and we have no spots.
Oh.
Yeah, so, that
Those
would be
things are-
great, yeah. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's all good stuff.
yep.
Okay. And, Noosh, while you're here, I did bring it up to, the sheriff, and I brought it up with Major Mason. I don't know if he's had a chance to sit and talk with you yet, but we did get a complaint. I went up and sat down with some Amish leaders up in, Mesopotamia, and they said they're having a little issue with, drunk driving buggies. Some of the younger Amishmen loading the buggies up on Friday and Saturday nights, kind of tearing the town up a little bit on a buggy.
Yeah.
But-
Michelle and I are laughing.
I mean, it does happen, unfortunately, you know.
It's true, it's very true.
Unfortunately, we see the report, you know, and people get killed every year, you know, and with that, so they actually asked, they said, can you send someone up here to arrest some of these kids? And I said, I don't know if you wanna open that can of worms, you know, we're not gonna target the Amish with a program, but we can, I said I would send someone up there to get with them to see about some type of, meeting you could have somewhere,
Well, we've actually,
educational program, something, or maybe we can zing a few people and, you know, scare them into, hey, this isn't gonna happen anymore, you know, this is dangerous, and,
we've got a good relationship with some of the Amish bishops up there, so, we'll reach out and talk to them, and, I'll talk to them when I go downstairs, make sure there's additional patrols up in that area.
yep. They just said it's been Fridays and Saturdays, and they said they know as it heats up, it gets worse. And the one Amishman said he saw his son on a buggy, and he said there were like 18 kids on the buggy hanging out, and people were falling out, and then the next morning they found, you know, a trail of beer cans, and he said it's just not good. He said there's a couple of, just like in anywhere, a couple of bad parents that let their kids run wild a little bit, and he said the bishops haven't been able to stop it, they haven't been able to stop it, and they said they're gonna actually need some enforcement to let the people know that this can't happen.
Yeah, we'll take care of it.
So, I figured you're the guy for that.
Corner of Bradford and Ensign. Just saying.
Okay,
I have a couple.
all good?
None of us wanna leave.
Ray, okay? Oh, hey.
You submitted all those stories and then left, huh?
Yeah, dropped a couple of bombs and gone.
Commissioner, just a couple of things, don't have much for ARPA, you can see the report there. I will tell you though, I wanna let you know that I'll scan this overview that was given to us from Lordstown and add it to that file, so you have it on file. The letter, again, I'll add that to the file. With regard to the fair, if you guys are gonna take that bigger space, then maybe I, as the auditor, could be across the way where you guys were where we were together last year. So maybe we can work on that once you decide, so I know you have it reserved now, but hopefully it looks like.
I meant to ask Gary, because I think the engineer's office, that's what we talked about. He may have his own building out on the Midway this year.
That's a
We
nice
should open up
booth
his,
too.
Yeah, either one.
That's a nice size booth too.
it is.
Either one. And then because we're in close proximity, we could do some Dogtown stuff between there. Other question, Juneteenth is 3 weeks away. That is a holiday smack dab in the middle of the week. So I just kind of think about how you want to do that meeting and make sure you let people know so that especially for
Commissioner.
Lisa, she's gotta do that. If you wanna have a meeting that week,
Juneteenth, can we cancel that week?
What day's
It's a holiday.
The 19th is a Wednesday.
it's a Wednesday,
We would
so
be
we have a
split.
holiday right in the middle
Oh,
of it.
yeah, we'll cancel that week.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Let's
It's
go and
right on,
officially,
it's on a Wednesday, right?
Yes.
pardon me?
When
The
is,
Juneteenth is
holiday
on a
is,
Wednesday?
the holiday is on the Wednesday.
Yeah, we
yes.
might
when
as
is the
well.
fly-in?
The following week.
Okay.
I will not be here on the 19th anyway. So,
Well, nobody will be here.
nobody will be here with that.
Okay,
But
Maybe
that week, I'll be gone, so
okay.
if it's all right, we'll just cancel that week.
Well,
And then the fly-in is, Tuesday, come home Thursday, and that's something that you go on without me, or we can move it. If you wanna move the meeting, can we move the meeting to a Friday?
I have no problems with that if you wanted to.
Would that be a problem, or move it to
No,
Tuesday, and I'll get a later flight, either or?
Either or.
are you just gonna do a department head meeting on Tuesday?
We don't even have to have a workshop if
That's
you wanna
up
do
to
it on
you.
Tuesday. Just
Right.
do the meeting on.
Well, there's also, I think Tuesday there's some type of course of training, or some type of training I saw on our schedule.
No, that's you mean the 26th?
Yes,
The course of training is the 26th, which is a Wednesday.
okay,
We also have the TID on the Wednesday, so you won't be at the TID.
correct.
The week of the 24th, that course of training is like 2:30 to 4:30.
Let me double check my calendar and then we'll go over all this.
We'll get that next week, at least
Yeah.
for right now,
Yeah,
the 19th is out.
Yeah.
And then we'll look at the following week.
that'll be good.
Okay, anybody have anything else for the good?
Motion to adjourn?
Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine.